Cheers. Well, we are here. This is the final episode where we select which boat we're going to pick for the Greatloop. And we're going to talk a little bit about the other 5 boats as well. Talk about what we didn't like, what we did like, and make the selection. So, here we go. Which one did we pick? Question mark? Not this one. This one is a stock photo. So, in order to do a proper comparison, we want to do a rewind.
Yes.
So,
first one is the Cruisers 5000. I really like this boat. I liked the way the salon was set up. I liked the space in it, and I liked that the galley was almost the full length of the starboard side of the boat.
But ultimately, there were some challenges with this boat. Mainly, it was landlocked up in a small inland lake in Tennessee. And in order for us to get it to where we wanted to get it to, which is the East Coast, we would have to literally move it a couple thousand miles before we actually hit the East Coast of the U.S. So it was a challenge to move this boat in our minds, and even though we really liked it, it was also kind of under contract. Although that contract was wobbly, we just felt like there's too many things to overcome. So a very nice boat in its own right. Mm-hmm. If you find one of these, we would definitely recommend that. But this particular boat was just, it had some very logistical challenges that we had to overcome.
For the timeline that we want to work in.
That's right.
Ultimately said no to this one.
Right.
The next one is the Ocean Alexander, which I think you liked a lot more than I did. Mm-hmm. It was oversized for what I said I liked. And it was a little bit too old for me.
So this boat is what you classically think about as a yacht that has long-range cruising ability. It's going to get you to almost anywhere you want to go. It's going to punch through waves in the open ocean really nicely. It's probably the heaviest and most sturdy of all the boats we looked at. But I do agree. I think that when we got on the inside, it's very dated. We would have to dump a bunch of money to upgrade, almost everything from carpets to cabinets to everything in the interior.
Which again isn't a totally large negative. We're just not the kind of people that want to spend the time to do all of that in refurb, and we want to get on the voyage and the adventure.
We have places to be, and we don't want to be putting like 6 to 9 months in upgrades, and we miss our window this summer. Yep. So, plus this was at the top of our price range. This was literally at the top of our price range, and any additional money we would have had to find and source from somewhere else. So
we said no to this one.
Challenging, yes, but great boat. Another place, another time. Next one was the Fleming 50, and
I like this one too. I would say that we liked all the boats, right? Yeah. So they were just what is going to work with our timeline, what's going to work with our abilities, etc. I really like the sturdiness of this boat. I like the look of it as well. I think it had a lot of what we were looking for, except it was you weren't a big fan.
I liked the salon. I liked the galley. I didn't really like the staterooms. I felt like the staterooms all having like single and twin beds in them was kind of limiting. And I felt like the master stateroom was small compared to other master staterooms and other boats we looked at. Great boat, another long-range cruiser, very sturdy. As soon as we got into the engine room had corrosion and rust and deferred maintenance everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, you know, this is way more than it's going to cost on the sticker price, because we would have had to spend at least a year getting this up to cruising shape, in my opinion. And again, we miss our window. Yeah, we miss our window to hit the route this summer. So this particular Fleming, not in the cards. I do want to come back to the Ocean Alexander and Fleming in future years.
Maybe the subsequent boat, but not this voyage's.
Again, this Fleming was not ready to cruise. It needed some work. The next one is the Carver 43, and I actually thought the Carver 43 was going to be really interesting based on the video and the pictures I saw online. The interesting thing is that when we got onto the 43, it's a really beautiful boat. Don't get me wrong. On the interior, really well done, but everything just seems smaller in person. Like the kitchen was like an RV kitchen. The hallways and the closets were like RV small closets. Everything was smaller than it actually appeared online. Plus the fact that it seemed like they started with some really bold ideas, but then they ran out of money in their budget to make this boat. So then they started taking shortcuts with the finishes. And I felt like the finishes on the interior were very cheap and kind of slapped on.
And again, you could replace all of those things, but do we want to do that? It's a slight inconvenience. Don't want to do that.
Yeah, so ultimately this was kind of a disappointment in person. And we decided to keep on looking after we saw the Carver 43. And then the last boat we saw that didn't really meet the cut was the Carver 466 MY. Now, the one we saw was beautiful. It was very well kept, very well maintained. It had been a freshwater boat its entire life, had a sparkling hull that didn't look like it had ever been out in the sun. The interior was immaculate. It had a lot of the things I liked, but this particular one also landlocked in the middle of Tennessee on a lake.
Yeah, besides that, you could see in the back here, the swim step is very short. Mm-hmm. There is no real space in the back there to just hang out and have a quick drink. I mean, you can sit there, but wouldn't be comfortable for long. The railings were short. There was a lot of just functional things on this boat that I wasn't a big fan of. So we would say we agreed. Yeah, so
we passed on this one. Very, very nice sample of this boat that we looked at. It just it came up short in a number of ways, and it was thousands of miles away from actually getting onto salt water.
But all the boats that we looked at, they were all clean. They were all well maintained. Yeah. You know, the age of the boat does require maintenance and, you know, money to upkeep a lot of it. And just varying degrees of that upkeep. Mm-hmm. So I would say, you know, it was kind of hard. We were split on every single one of these boats.
Yeah, it's just different variations of small nits.
Yeah, you know, really small nits. But
so that leaves the last boat that we looked at, and the Meridian, the Meridian 459 ended up being the boat that we chose. So why did we choose this boat? Well, a number of reasons. First of all, it came across as a very high quality construction. We looked around in all the parts of the boat, and it's just kind of an amazing model that it fits so many things into only really a 47-foot boat. Yep. It feels like it's a bigger boat with a bigger interior layout, and it has a back swim step, and it has a back cockpit sitting area, and it has this upper deck, sun deck, and that you rarely see that on this size boat. You rarely see that much outdoor space. And I'm not even talking about the bow, which also has a really nice open area as well.
And everything we said about this boat does apply to the cruisers boat as well. Mm-hmm. Just there's more space interior for us to work in, because that was important as well. Yeah. Is that we had workspaces, because we'll still be working from home a lot of the time. So, when you first walk into the salon, there's, tables and space. And we'll show that in a future video. Yeah. Us working within the boat, but it even the railings were great on this as well. The staterooms are separated, the two, and so there is a semblance of privacy, which you don't get necessarily in the Fleming as it was laid out, and the Carvers, and of course the Ocean Alexander, you will get space, but.
And I was just really impressed by how big and airy the main salon of the Meridian was.
Well, really everywhere, right? The helm is big and airy. The sun deck feels spacious. The salon feels spacious. The staterooms are spacious. Everything is pretty well laid out, and the use of space is really smart in the Meridian.
I remember thinking that the secondary VIP stateroom in the Meridian was the same size as the master in the Fleming. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, wow, the secondary stateroom is this big? And then you go aft, and in the aft part of the Meridian is the main stateroom, and that's a really big stateroom with a full queen-size bed, sink, toilet, shower, all of that fit in a 47-foot stateroom.
I would say all the storage places on this boat as well. It was easy to get to, quick to get to as well. The views, the sight line from the helm, it's pretty easy to see both forward and back.
And one of the last things I want to say is the fuel economy on this boat is ridiculous. For some reason, I don't know what it is. It's a combination of the weight being low, or it's a combination of the hull design, or it's the engines that they put in it. But I talked to several owners on our journey. We looked at actually several Meridians, and we talked to all the owners of these Meridians, and they said if you're at hull speed, they got 2.5 miles per gallon, sometimes 3. And I'm like, that's just crazy. None of these boats get 3 miles per gallon, let alone 2. Many of these are 1 mile per gallon type of boats. So the fuel economy to me was just something I couldn't not pay attention to. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it does have a smaller gas tank or fuel tank, 330 gallons. But if you're getting 2.5 out of there, you're really talking like 800 to 1,000 nautical mile of range if you're just at cruising speed or hull speed.
And there really isn't a lot of need to upgrade anything on the boat. It's like move-in ready.
The boat was in really good condition.
Yeah, previous owners really took care of this boat.
Mm-hmm. There was some work to do in the engine room, which I think we talked about in the buying and negotiations episode. But for the most part, the owners really took this boat seriously and made everything upgraded and took care of everything. So,
great value. What's next? What's next after our selection? And you heard the negotiation video that you talked through our negotiation for the purchase of this boat. We're over the next few weeks, we're going to begin preparations to close down the house that we're currently living in, and move into the Meridian for 2 straight months in the summer.
We're going to be talking a little bit about what our plan is over the summer and the cruising we're going to do. At a high level, we are going to be working from the boat and probably, to be honest, flying back and forth every week or two. But the idea is to do as much cruising as we can this summer, learn the boat, learn the route, learn the life, and then use it as kind of like a practice round for bigger stuff to come.
Yep. It'll be really exciting. We're going to take our 85-pound German Shepherd with us. So it'll be his first time to be on a boat for that long.
Yeah.
Our previous one, he would just spend the weekend and that's it. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But, I mean, that's why we signed up for this, right, is the adventure. We'll figure it out as we go along.
So coming up next in future episodes, we're going to cover what to bring on a long-term cruising trip. We're going to talk about prep for your lives and the house and leaving things behind. And then we're going to start talking about what happens when we get there. I got to pick out a dinghy. I got to find motors for the dinghy. There's lots of stuff that has to get done before we leave. So look for those in future episodes. Until then.
And cheers to our new Meridian.
Cheers to that. We'll see you the next time. 2, 1. What's next?
What next? Oh my gosh. How about I start and then you continue?